Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we're going to be going over all of the Draconic and the classes of the Draconic Heroes, Ninja and Warrior cards inside of the Hunted. I wanted to do the Draconic ones first because they have the most cards. And next week, when we take a look at the Assassin cards, we'll also take a look at all of the dual class cards alongside the generic and the expansion slot cards. So only going to be 2 videos for this set, but I want to take a look at the Draconic Heroes first because they're a lot more simple. Syndra and Fang are very similar, and Syndra is very similar to Fi. So there's not too much to go over, especially because we're going over, yes, all the ninja cards, but Warrior itself, this is a brand new thing. They've never had Draconic Warrior before. And Assassin is going to be very similar. A lot of the cards are very basic, but some of the Draconic cards are a little more unique. Well, kind of. But we'll go over those as we go through the video. So with that, let's just get started. So Syndra, Josai of Retribution, we already talked about a bit a few weeks ago in the first impressions. But I will reread her here since she is a hero. She is a 4 intellect, 40 health, Royal Draconic Ninja hero. She has 2 abilities. Whenever you hit a marked hero, you create a fealty token. And once per turn instant for 3 resources, you can equip up to 2 Draconic daggers from your graveyard. And this ability costs 1 less for each Draconic chainlink you control. Fealty tokens, if you don't know, they are an instant speed effect to destroy it and make the next card you play this turn Draconic. And at the beginning of your end phase, if you haven't made a fealty token or played a Draconic card, you destroy the fealty token. All of them. So every turn you need to be playing something Draconic or making more tokens, which easy enough. We're a deck that wants to play a lot of Draconic cards. Fang and Syndra use them very differently. Fang wants to stack his up so he has at least 3 and then use them to make his other reactions Draconic to buff up his daggers, but Syndra uses them a little more unique. She doesn't care how many she has in play, but she has a lot of cards, a lot of the base ninja cards care about becoming Draconic, which is sort of Syndra's main thing, making attacks Draconic. Some old cards that you're definitely going to see a lot with Syndra are Brand with Cinderclaw, since it works very similar, making your next attack Draconic, as well as Rising Retribution? I don't remember. The on-hit banish a card, it costs 1 less. That one. Rising Rebellion. That card, which is not reprinted this set, which I thought it would be, along with Brand with Cinderclaw, which also is not reprinted this set, which it sucks, because those 2 cards are really important. But we'll talk about reprints a little later. Next is the daggers, the kunais of Retribution. These have to exist because there are no Draconic daggers, so a new one needed to be printed. What these do is they're a Draconic ninja weapon. They're a one-handed dagger with 1 power. They cost 1 resource to attack, and they have go again, and they are destroyed when the combat chain closes. So the idea for these is that you don't have to attack with them, because they cost 1 and you're generally going to be playing more of a red line deck, but sometimes you can. The idea is you use effects like Flick Knives or any other effect that lets you deal 1 with the dagger and then destroy it, and then bring them back with Syndra. That's sort of the main plan. You want to keep reoccurring these daggers to get true damage with all of those effects, since you can't block them and they can't be prevented by Arcane Barrier. It's physical damage. So it needs to be an actual prevention effect to do that. And then you just get them back. The reason they destroy themselves, though, is sort of twofold. One, it makes more sense with Syndra. They're kunais, you're throwing them. You're not slashing with them, so them destroying themselves makes sense. You're not going to have it after you use it once. And also, if they were just in Fi and they were 1 power go again, they would be absurdly broken. So, good thing Fi does not have these. There are no other Draconic Ninja equipment, only the weapon. So let's move on to the actual cards. And the actual cards are pretty interesting. They have 2 M's. If you'll notice, every card here is red. The only cards that are not, the first few cards that start becoming other colors are some of the rares, because some of the rares are even just all red. But all of the Draconic cards this set are only in red. Even the class cards, where before the class cards were in rainbow. So all these cards will only be red, but of course the M's are going to be red. Blood Runs Deep is a 2-cost, 2-power, 3-block Draconic Ninja attack. It costs 1 less for each Draconic Chainlink you control, and when it attacks a hero, each dagger you control does 1 to that hero, and if they dealt damage this way, they are considered to hit and are destroyed. Well, they're always destroyed, but they're considered to hit if they have dealt damage. This card lets you just throw both daggers, which is very good. It's free if you have 2 chain links, which you'd hopefully have. That's kind of the point of Draconic, at least Draconic Ninja, is to have a bunch of Draconic chain links. If you play this third, the idea is you play a thing, play this, both daggers go, and then you can bring both daggers back with Syndra's ability for free, since this would be the 3rd chain link or higher. This card just is a double throw. It's not really too interesting, but I think it is a very good card you'll definitely see, mainly because it does block 3. And depending on lists, if throwing daggers is enough with the actual cards you're playing, you don't need flick knives. I could easily see people including Tiger Stripe Shuko, which this will trigger, but I'm not sure if they will. I think people will just keep the flick knives in case. Ignite is the other M for Draconic Ninja. This is a 0-cost, 2-power, 2-block Draconic Ninja attack. It has Go Again, and when it attacks, the next Draconic card you play or activate this combat chain costs 1 less to play or activate. This lets you sort of cheat 1 on some of the discount stuff, but it'll mainly be used on things like Mounting Anger or any other 1-cost Draconic attack, which can be anything with fealty tokens, by the way, which is really nice. Or even just swinging with a dagger if you don't have any 1-cost stuff, since the daggers are Draconic, so activating it would cost 1 less. I think this is a card you're going to see at 3 of in pretty much every Syndra list, mainly because it lets you swing with that dagger for free, as well as any other 1-cost cards you play. I think Mounting Anger is possibly very good in Syndra, and you're probably going to see a lot of other 1-cost cards see play inside of her, because there's just a lot of good 1-cost cards that she might want to play, and Ignite lets you play them for free. Very similar to some other effects that'll let you play them for free. We'll talk about later. Moving on to the rares. Demonstrate Devotion is a 1-for-4 with 2 block that gets Go Again, and on attack, make a fealty token if you have 2 or more Draconic chain links. This counts itself, so as long as this isn't the first Draconic chain link, you'll get your token, which is really good. It's a guaranteed token, and it's a 1-for-4, but even better is Display Loyalty, which is the same thing, but a head jab instead of a leg tap. This card is miles better than Demonstrate Devotion, simply because it's free. If you have 2 or more Draconic chain links, this counts itself. It gets Go Again, and you make a fealty token. Compared to Lava Vein Loyalty, it is 1 less block, but you also make the token. However, Lava Vein Loyalty is getting outscaled this set by another card anyway, so oh well. Display Loyalty is very good. I think decks could try Demonstrate Devotion, but I don't think it's the best. Both of the Draconic Heroes this set have a legendary attack at rare. The Draconic Ninja one is Wrath of Retribution. This is legendary, so you can only have 1 in your deck. It's a 3-cost, 3-power, 3-block with Go Again. It costs 1 less for each of your Draconic chain links, and it makes your daggers have 1 more power and costs 1 less to activate this combat chain. This is very important in a deck like this, because it actually lets you swing with your daggers. You will always, I think, play this card in Syndra. Same as the Fang one. You'll always play that as a 1-Evan Fang because it's just such a good card. If you can actually get this off, say you have a turn that is maybe 3 chain links by attack. Say you have Wrath of Retribution, Blood Runs Deep, and then 3 other free Draconic attacks. You can go play those 3 attacks, play Wrath of Retribution, swing the 2 daggers, play Blood Runs Deep to throw the daggers, and then use Syndra's ability to pick them back up, and then swing at those daggers again, giving you pretty much 8 free damage. That's a huge turn, but an insanely good one if you can set it up. And even on turns where you don't do that, just going 3 attacks into dagger, dagger, possibly something else is really good. This card costing 3 can hurt because you might not always have 3 Draconic Chain Links before it because it is an actual card. It's not like Syndra where you're just re-equipping the daggers. You're not spending a card to do that. So it can be a little hard to pull off, but if you can pull it off, it's very good, especially if you can swing with daggers more than twice a turn. Moving on to the commons. These cards are all very similar. We'll just go over them very quickly. Blood Drop is a 1-for-2 with Go Again and blocks 3. That costs 1 less for each Draconic Chain Link. Bloodline is the same, but 1 more power and 1 more cost. They're okay. I guess you might see Bloodline, and I guess you could see Blood Drop if Shuko becomes the main glove, but I don't think these are too exceptional for constructed. They do seem okay and limited, though, because they do block 3, which is very nice. Burning Blade Dance is a 0-for-3 with 3 block. That gets Go Again if you have 2 or more Draconic Chain Links. Counts itself. And when it hits a hero, you can flick a dagger. This is just Power Creep Lava Vein loyalty in like every way. It blocks 3. It's the same Go Again effect with upside. This card is insane, and you'll see it in every... It's not like insane, but you'll see it in every single Syndra deck at 3 of. I think this card's incredibly good. Cinderskin Devotion and Dustfunner Outlaw are both reprints. Cinderskin Devotion is a 1-for-4 that blocks 3. That gets Go Again if you have 2 chain links. And Dustfunner Outlaw is just a 1-for-4 with Go Again that has 2 block. Very simple. They're both from Uprising. Hot on Their Heels is a 0-for-3 that blocks 3, which is actually pretty good. It's a, if you control 2 or more Draconic Chain Links card again, it gets Go Again, and it has an on-hit to mark the hero you hit, which is pretty good. I think you'll see this card as maybe the 3rd Lava Vein effect. Lava Vein probably being the 4th. I don't think Lava Vein ever makes the cut anymore. But this card is, again, Power Creep Lava Vein loyalty, simply because it has an extra on-hit. The on-hit can convert into a mark. Remember, marks are broken when you hit the hero, which means if you mark them, you'll probably always get it, and daggers do pop marks because they are hitting heroes. So flicking a dagger will get it. So if this hits a hero, you get a fealty token. Makes it pretty similar to display loyalty, but display loyalty just gives you the token straight away, where this has the extra steps to need to hit. But it does block 1 more. Lava Vein loyalty is a reprint. I think it makes sense to be in this set. That's perfectly fine. Mark with Magma is the 1-for-4 version of Hot on Their Heels. I like Hot on Their Heels more simply because if I'm playing 1-cost cards, I'd rather them be a little better. So we're not playing Mark with Magma, most likely. Ronin Renegade is the last base Draconic Ninja card in the set, and it is also just a reprint. Moving on to the base Ninja cards. These cards, these next 6, are all limited to 1 color. Art of Dragon Blood is a 0-for-4 with 3 block. That when it attacks, if it's Draconic, it gets Go Again, and your next 3 Draconic cards you play this turn cost 1 less. This is incredibly good if you can stack up a bunch of fealty tokens, especially with the next card we're going to talk about, Devotion Never Dies. But this could be a reason to want to play a fair amount of 1-cost cards, even if it's not used the most times. Even just 1 card costing 1 less on this is insanely powerful. So I can easily see this card getting a lot of use inside of Syndra, since looking at all of the cards' fealty tokens seem pretty easy to make. from all of the other Draconic Ninja things we already have. As well as even some of the generics, I think. But I don't know if Syndra is going to play them. Devotion Never Dies is a 1-for-4 with Go Again. Only has 2 block, but when it attacks, if a Draconic attack was the last attack this combat chain, you banish Devotion Never Dies, and then you may play it this turn. Which means if you make Devotion Never Dies Draconic, you can keep playing the Devotion Never Dies. However, I think the main use for this is going to be you play a Draconic attack, and then you play the Devotion Never Dies. If they don't block it, you get it again. Then you play another Draconic attack, and then you play Devotion Never Dies. Pretty much, it's a card your opponent has to block, or you can keep swinging 1-for-4 that turn, because you'll play it in between all of your Draconic attacks. It does cost 1 to do each time, but thanks to something like Art of Dragon Blood, or even Ignite, which you'd have to make the Devotion Never Dies Draconic for the Ignite to work. Same as the Art of Dragon Blood, you'd have to make it Draconic to actually discount it, but that's perfectly fine. I could also see a build of Syndra that plays a few more blues, maybe not on Rabble, and just tries to combo with Devotion Never Dies, play some effects to make sure it hits, and all of that. Just make sure it gets in. Prowess of Agility is the first blue card we're talking about. This is a 0-for-3 ninja action aura. It is 3 block. It says, when you attack for the 4th time during a turn, you may destroy this. If you do, draw a card. And at the beginning of your end phase, if you attacked less than 3 times this turn, destroy this. Pretty much this card wants you to keep up the advantage. You can only play it on a turn that you've attacked 3 times, because if you end your turn and you haven't, it goes away. It also doesn't have Go Again, so it needs to end your turn. But if you can do that and keep attacking, whenever you have a turn that attacks 4 times, which is pretty easy in Ninja, you'll get to draw an extra card. So just a good, pretty much saving a card for later. Sometimes it's really good with big pop-off terms, it's like Wrath of Retribution, but other times it could just be better to have a base attack. It is a good blue, I will say. I think it could be a blue you put inside of your decks, because it is just a playable card, but we'll have to see. Next, we have a few more Art of Dragons. Art of Dragon Claw is a 1-for-5 with 3 block that, if it's Draconic, gains an on-hit to destroy all cards in that hero's arsenal. Art of Dragon Fire does 2 damage when it attacks and is Draconic. And Art of Dragon Scale gains an on-hit to put a -1 counter on an equipment the hero hit controls, and if it's at 0, you destroy it. I think these are pretty good. Some of these are effects that Draconic already has, but with the old mechanic of Rupture, Art of Dragon Claw is very similar to Breaking Point, and Art of Dragon Scale is very similar to Liquefy. I believe Art of Dragon Fire is also another card that Draconic already has as well. So just a bit different versions of those. These can be better sometimes, but the other ones can also be better. It really is dependent on how your deck is built, I think. Now we have all of the normal Ninja cards. These are all pretty interesting, but I'm going to go over them a little quick because most of them are just pack filler, I guess. A lot of commons tend to in classes that get a lot of reprints, such as this one, but we'll go over some mentionable ones a little more. Dragon Power is a 1-for-4 at red that gets +3 if it's Draconic, just a high damage amount that could be pretty good in some decks. Silver Talons is a 0-for-4 with an on-hit that if it is Draconic, you can flick a dagger. Or sorry, an on-attack. If it's Draconic, you can flick a dagger, which you'd have to make it Draconic, but it is a 0-for-4 that blocks 3, so it is pretty playable on top of that. Fire Tenant Strike First is a 0-for-3 that gives your next Draconic attack +1, so kind of a 0-for-4. This card actually could be pretty playable. Grow Claws is a 1-for-4 that does, if a Draconic attack was the last attack in the chain, gets +1, so sort of the inverse to Fire Tenant Strike First. Grow Wings is a 0-for-3 that if the last attack was Draconic, it gets Go Again. Not the best version of this type card, but I think it's fine. Tag the Target is a head jab with an on-hit to mark. so better than Head Jab, but knowing that how easy fealty tokens seem to be able to make thanks to Hot on Their Heels, Display Loyalty, and possibly Demonstrate Devotion, I think maybe it's not the best card to play, but I think it could definitely still see play. And then Trap and Release is the same, but a 1 for 4 instead. Overall, I think Ninja this set is pretty good. Syndra definitely seems like an incredibly powerful hero just straight out of the gate. She gets so many cards and uses so many cards from older sets extremely well. And there's definitely a lot of builds I think you could see for her. One that plays more 1-cost cards. One that's pretty much all red line with Rabble. Possibly even the Royal Tome, but I think that card might be pretty bad in these new heroes. We'll have to test it out and see. As well as just Syndra's theoretical true damage. It might just be too much for some decks to actually compete with. But of course, we'll have to see when the actual set comes out. I think Syndra is really good, and if you plan on playing Draconic Ninja, there's definitely a choice to make, because some of these cards do help out Fi a bit. The Wrath of Retribution does not care if the daggers are Draconic, so you can swing. Of course, you need a 0-cost card in your pitch for them to have go again, so do make sure you do, but you can swing with Kodachis with Wrath of Retribution. I could see Ignite and Fi. This card would help you out a lot on some of your 1-cost cards. I could see Burning Blade Dance just replacing Lava Vein Loyalty inside of Fi, and maybe they even use some fealty generation with something like the Display Loyalty to turn some of their cards Draconic, as well as I think they could easily use Devotion Never Dies or Prowess of Agility. So Fi might actually be a deck that could come back, but I think if you wanted to just play Syndra, that is a good choice to make. Moving on, let's talk about the brand new warrior, Fang Dressai of Blades. Fang is also a 40 health, 4 intellect, royal Draconic hero, this time a warrior. He has the same on hit of marked hero make a fealty token ability, but instead of recurring daggers, he makes them cost 1 less to activate if he controls 3 fealty tokens. The game plan for Fang seems to be make 3 as fast as possible, and then any excess would be used to turn non-Draconic attack reactions into Draconic ones for use under restrictions or to pump up Obsidian Fire Veins, which are his weapon. The best thing about any warrior is taking a look at their weapon. Obsidian Fire Vein is a 1-power Draconic warrior weapon. It's a 1-handed dagger. It has 1 resource once per turn to attack. If you've played a Draconic card this chain link, this gets +1 power and go again. I think you're going to play 2 Obsidian Fire Veins. People are trying Quicksilver Dagger, but like, brother, just play the Fire Vein. The whole goal of Fang is to get 3 fealty, so these starts coming in for free. Originally, I was under the impression that Fang might want to play more of a red line list, very similar to Syndra, but after looking at a lot of the cards, a lot of the good ones do cost 1, so I think a higher blue count Fang list might be in order instead, but that'll be for once we go over, once we start actually playing these heroes. I think Fang is pretty good. He gets a lot of good cards, which is important because Draconic Warrior has never existed before, or at least there's not in CC, where a lot of the cards actually get printed for. So we'll have to see how these cards might impact Fang, and I think a lot of them are incredibly good. Very similar to Draconic Ninja, Draconic Warrior gets 2 new Majestics. Hunt's End is a 0-cost 3-block Draconic Warrior attack reaction that gives you a +4 pump on a dagger, but only if you have 3 fealty tokens in play, which is kind of your main goal, is to get 3 fealty tokens in play. It obviously can't be played early, but I assume you're going to get fealty tokens pretty fast. Hopefully you'd have 3 by turn 3. And then Hunt's End turns into a 0 for 5 with go again because of the Obsidian Fire Vein effect, which is really, really good. I think you're going to play 3 Hunt's End. You can always block with it early anyway. It's perfectly fine. Long Whisker Loyalty is also a just insane card. This is a 0 cost 3 block, again, Draconic Warrior attack reaction. And for each Draconic Chain Link, you choose one. You give a dagger +2. You can attack with the dagger an extra time. Or a dagger attack +2, not the dagger itself. And the next time a dagger hits a hero, you mark them. So it can be an effect that gives you an extra fealty token because you're marking, lets you attack an extra time, which lets you convert attack reactions into more damage on multiple chains, which is very good, and lets you pump up the actual dagger, which is really important because they only have one base. Yes, they're going to 2 because of the dagger's effect, but that's still blockable by 1 card. The +2 makes it 4, which is a breakpoint, which is really good. This card and this card are very good for Fang. I think you play them at 3 in every Fang deck. Fang's actual cards are a little samey, so we'll go over them pretty quick, all the Draconic Warrior cards, but I think that's okay because I think they're all really good. Affirm Loyalty and Endear Devotion are the same card, just one is a 1 for 3 and one is a 0 for 2. These are attack reactions that both block 2, give the damage amount, and then if you have 2 or more Draconic Chain Links, you make a fealty token. Very easy. I think Fang lists are going to play any form of starter they can get, or say swing with the first dagger and play a different react that doesn't require 2 chain links. Something like, I don't know, Imperial Intent, but we'll talk about that one in a bit. And then swing at the other dagger to get this second chain link. I think these two are very good. I really like Endear Devotion, and it was why I think maybe you might see a little more blues, because early game you'll need a blue to swing with both daggers and play the Endear Devotion, so a more blue list probably makes more sense than a more red line list, but I do like both of these cards. Sucks that they block 2, but oh well. It's supposed to be a fast deck. Fire and Brimstone is Fang's legendary. It's also an attack reaction, which every single Draconic Warrior card in the set is an attack reaction. Fire and Brimstone costs 2, but costs 1 less for each Draconic Chain Link, and gives all daggers you control +1 and the ability to attack 1 extra time, which is really good once your hero ability is active, because now they're swinging for absolutely free. As long as you have reactions to give each and every one go again, you'll just get to destroy your opponent with how many attacks you're actually throwing at them. Blistering Blade is a 0 for 2, but gets an extra 1, so it becomes a 0 for 3 if you have 2 chain links. Very good. Probably will see play. Even though most of these cards do block 2, it's important to note that you need specifically draconic things to do while the attack is active. Either that be a reaction or an instant. We'll talk about the instants later, but I think cards like Blistering Blade, where they're just free damage, I think are very important, because you also have to remember it's pumping the dagger too. So this is realistically a 0 for 4 if you have 2 Draconic Chain Links. Brothers of Flame is a 1 cost +4 that does block 3, but only playable if you have 2 Draconic Chain Links, which I think is fine. It pretty much is a 1 for 5 at that point, or I guess a 2 for 5 if you actually have to pay for the dagger, but you probably don't. It's similar to Hunt's End. I think it's a little worse, but I think you could definitely still just play the Brothers of Flame. Dynastic Dedication and Imperial Intent are very similar cards. Imperial Intent costs 1 and gets +2. Dynastic Dedication costs 2 and gives +3. And they cost 1 less for each Draconic Chain Link. You probably play both. I like Imperial Intent more because it can be played on the first dagger, where Dynastic Dedication might have some trouble sometimes, but I think they're both playable. If anything, Dynastic Dedication might be the first card I've read out of all of the other Draconic Warrior cards that doesn't make the cut. Like, I think all of these are very good. You play both of the fealty generators. You probably play Blistering Blade. You probably play Brothers of Flame. I think they're all pretty good. I think you play Imperial Intent as well. Scalding Iron is a 0-cost reaction that gets plus X to a dagger, where X is your number of Draconic Chainlinks. This is the best thing to play on the last dagger. Very good on turns you can attack with multiple daggers, with something like Fire and Brimstone. Even if it's just played on the second dagger, it's probably going to be a +3, which is pretty good. So I do like Scalding Iron. I think it will see some play in more attack action focused Fang lists. We'll have to see how those lists play out though. Searing Gaze is a 0-cost 2-block. It gives a dagger +2 and a on hit to mark if it's the chain link 2 or higher. Again, I think this card just gets played. Marks turn into fealty, which turns into a better time for you as the Fang player. Sisters of Fire is a 0-cost that gives +3, but only playable if you have 2 Draconic Chainlinks. I don't know why this one wasn't next to Brothers of Flame, which now looking at it, they are very similar named cards. They should have been, because that makes it like these two are next to each other, these two are next to each other. That one's a little weird to me, but oh well. I think this one is very good, though. You probably do play this one. Sizzling Steel is a 1 to give +3, but if you have 2 or more Draconic Chainlinks, it's 4. And Stabbing Pain is the Mark 1 of Searing Gaze, but costs 1 and gives 1 extra pump. Overall, I think the Draconic Warrior cards are very good. Most of them will probably see play at about 3 copies. Maybe some at 2. I could see Scalding Iron at 2. But I think all of these are very good. The M's are good. The ones that give you fealty are good. Fire and Brimstone's good. Blistering Blade, Imperial Intent, Sisters of Fire, Searing Glaze. I think all of those see play. But with that, let's move on to the Warrior cards. Starting with, I believe, the first legendary we're going over, because Ninja, once again, does not have a base legendary. I believe they're the class with the least amount of base legendaries that only they have. Yes, Assassin has 2 legendaries it shares with Ninja now, being the Flick Knives and the one from this set. However, Assassin also has Shriek Razors, Black Tex, Redback Shroud, the new one for Arachne. I think there's one I'm forgetting, but I don't remember. But they have 4. They have 4, and Ninja has 2, and Assassin is the newest class. So technically, they'd have 6, and Ninja would have 4. But why does Ninja get 2 less than a class that is newer than it? I believe Ninja has the least amount of legendaries. However, they are in the most amount of sets, and I mean base Ninja. Right? I'm not talking about Kasaya. I wouldn't count a Chaos one, which technically you'd count the Fabled, right? Because that's Chaos. But I'm not counting that. Like, just base, generic class legendaries. Assassin has 2 more. Why does Assassin never get anything? Or why does Ninja never get anything compared to Assassin? Because they're always in the same set. And Assassin always gets something really cool, and Ninja doesn't. I don't know. But Warrior gets a new helmet. Sorry for the small rant. But Warrior does get a new helmet, which the helmet slot is the one slot that Warrior really didn't have anything for. And they're getting a pretty good one. Kabuto of Imperial Authority is a 2-block Blade Break helmet, limited to only Warriors, that when it defends until the end of your turn, your opponents cannot attack with weapons. Not talking about the implementation this has in UPF, locking out all opponents until the end of your turn, but mainly in the 1v1. This will be used against decks that want to actually swing at their weapons. It seems pretty good against Ninja, but of course it's going to be good against things like Warrior, against Brute. It might be even pretty good against Assassin. A lot of people are talking about how this takes your Balance of Justice slot as your sideboard helmet, which I think is definitely true, because you'll want to bring this in on the turn that they want to use their Bloodrush Bellow and then stop their second claw from coming in. I think is very potent, and Kabuto is pretty good at that. And even in matchups you don't need it, you just play Crown of Providence instead, and that's fine. I like Kabuto. I think it's really cool. Warrior gets 3 M's this set. Jagged Edge is a 1 for 3 with 3 block on any weapon. That makes it also unpreventable, so Enigma Hate, always good. Provoke is a blue 3 block that's on the... If you're attacking with a weapon on the chain link you play it, the defending hero will reveal a card from their hand. It is their choice. And if it's an attack action card, it has to block the provoke, but otherwise they discard it. So you're guaranteed getting a card out of their hand, either it be an attack that you're forcing them to defend with, or just any other card. Provoke definitely will serve its job as some nice warrior disruption, as well as a blue, which means you can put it in any warrior deck you want and just pitch it. It's really good. Be careful with this card against New, though. I would cut it against New because they banish it, and then they swing with the dagger, and then take your whole hand away. So be careful in that one, but very good in like every other matchup. And then Sharpen Focus is a yellow. It's an aura with Go Again and 3 block that gives your weapons +1 if their power is greater than twice their base. So 1 power daggers would need to go to 3, 2 power weapons would need to go to 5, etc. They get Go Again. Excuse me. And at the beginning of your end phase, you destroy it. So easy way to give the daggers Go Again, but they already have Go Again. So it only works with the base ones. I guess it's better for other warriors, but I don't see many warriors wanting to play this. It is a technically 2 pump or more if you swing more. I think it's more of a Dory card, though, than anything, which I think is fine. Good with axes. Very good with axes Dory. Moving on to the rares, we'll go over them pretty fast. So there's also a cycle of only 1 color rares we'll go over, although we already know what they are from before. Diced gives your current dagger attack +1 and your next one +3 at red. I think you're only going to play the red if you play it, and you probably will. It only has 2 block, which sucks, but if you make it Draconic, it lets you swing with both daggers, so it's good. Generally, you're going to be using your fealty tokens on these in Fang, so making your daggers do more damage is a 0 for 4 if you get to swing with both daggers. It's very good. Twist and Turn is an action that gives your next dagger attack +4, and it's free, which is really good. And an on hit to attack an extra time. I think Twist and Turn is very good. You're definitely going to play this at red. It's a 0 for 4, which is very potent. And if it hits, you get an extra attack out of your dagger. It's really good. I think you'll definitely see this one. Now we have some cards we've already seen. The stances: Agility Stance, Flurry Stance, Power Stance. All of them are Go Again auras with 3 block at different colors that give your daggers something at the start of the turn and destroy themselves. Agility gives them Go Again, Flurry gives them an extra attack, and Power gives them 1 power. I think Power is the best one since it's a blue. I think the second best one is Flurry because it works very well with Fang's ability, making them free. You just need to give them Go Again. Agility Stance gives them Go Again, but since the daggers already can do that naturally, it's just easier to play a bunch of things that will give the daggers Go Again, i.e. Draconic attack reactions, or fealty stuff, or Draconic Instance. We'll talk about those again later. Cut Deep is a 0 cost. Your next dagger gets +4. It's worse than Twist and Turn, but probably still playable. Hunt a Killer is a 1 for 4 that gives an on hit to mark. There is a 0 for 3 that does the same thing later. That's way better. I would not play Hunt a Killer personally, but I could see a reason to play it. Play it probably at blue, because blue for +2, which you're never really playing it, but you could play it later, I think is fine, and it blocks 3. Knife Through Butter is a 1 for 4 that if you're attacking 1 for +4 on a dagger, if you're attacking a marked hero, the attack gets Go Again. It works on any card, not just daggers. The pump only works on daggers, but giving any attack Go Again could be pretty good. Not so much for Warrior, I guess, but it's still fine. Again, I could see this once you play it blue. Point of Engagement is, again, a 0 cost action. It gives your next dagger attack +3, but gives all of your attacks +1 if you're hitting a marked hero. If you can mark the opponent, which Fang does want to do, there's a lot of cards that do mark. We'll talk about those more when we talk about base Draconic, point of engagement is actually really good because it could be a 5 power pump. So I think you definitely play point of engagement if you can mark consistently. And then finally, Sworn Vengeance is a 0 for 3 pump on a dagger that gives it an on-hit 2 mark. And you're definitely playing that one at red. Overall, base warrior, very powerful. I think you're definitely going to see it a lot. And overall, 4 Fangs kit of just the warrior cards. Again, we got to go over all the Draconic goodies. Overall, I think Fang gets better cards than Syndra, but I think since Syndra has a already defined game plan of I get at least 10 true damage every game, so your health starts at 30, is really good. Fang will have to make fealty tokens as quick as possible, and if he can't do that, he's going to fall behind. But if he can do it early enough and keep the generation coming, Fang probably has a shot to be a very powerful hero. However, we will have to see once we actually get to play with these cards. Finally, for this video, let's talk about the base Draconic cards. Dragon Scalar Flight Path is the brand new Draconic legs. These are 1 block and battle worn, and for an instant, for 3 resources, you can destroy them to give a Draconic attack go again. If you targeted a weapon or ally, you can attack an additional time with it, and this ability costs 1 less for each of your Draconic chain links. Now that's a lot. Now, first of all, you might think this card is going to break Mrs. Jeremiah in LL, in which you probably are correct. However, we're talking about this in CC. So where are the uses? 1, in Syndra, I think this is just better than Snapdragon Scalars. You're already playing for 3 chain links. Yes, you have to make the thing you're targeting Draconic. However, there are so many things you can do that with very easy. I think you could also just do it on a weapon to get the extra attack, but I think that might be too niche. However, you can use it with her legendary in that sense, and it'd be probably fine. Does this work in Fang? I don't know. I think letting him attack an extra time with a dagger is good. However, is it better than Dynamos? Because Dynamos are giving you extra block every turn, because you're swinging with both daggers every turn. Ninja definitely has space to play this, I think. I think it's better than Snapdragon Scalars for how Syndra wants to play. I don't know if it's better for how Phi wants to play. I don't know if you'll play this one in Phi, but I think you'll play it in Syndra. I just don't know how it's going to do in Fang. I like the card a lot, but we'll have to see its effectiveness. I think Dynamos are probably better, but if you need to be more aggressive, you don't care about your health, I think these are better than Dynamos in that sense. But I think the way Fang's going to be built, you want Dynamos. We'll have to wait and see. Draconic has a common equipment cycle, which is the Vengeance cycle, that are all 1 block and blade break, but do something if your opponent's hero is Arachne. Vow of Vengeance marks him as a reaction. Heart of Vengeance is an instant to make the next attack or ability you activate against an Arachne cost 1 less. Hand of Vengeance is a reaction to pump it, and Path of Vengeance is a reaction to give it go again. So, anti-Arachne cards. Coat of Allegiance gives you +1 resource when you destroy it, but you can only play Draconic cards this turn. This card isn't that good. However, the same restriction will apply to the next card we're going to talk about, and that card's kind of bonkers. So let's just go over it now. Oath of Loyalty. This is a 0 for 4 3 block. It has go again. You might think, wow, that seems really good. It is an M, so you only get 3 of it. There has to be something. There is some downside, right? It's not just a free starter that's 3 block as well. It can only be the first thing you play. So you can't even activate anything before. You can't even swing with a dagger. It's just the first action on your turn must be the Oath of Loyalty, or you can't play it. So you think, okay, well, it has to be your starter. No, because if it's played, you can only do Draconic things this turn, which isn't bad for what Draconic wants to be doing. Notably, fealty tokens and Brand with Cinderclaw allow you to do non-Draconic things. But, like, is it worth it? To play this with a bunch of... Yes. Yes, it's probably worth it. It's a starter. It's a Draconic Chainlink. It's perfect for Fang because all of his 2 Draconic Chainlink cards are all Draconic already. It's perfect for Syndra because all of her cards are going to probably be Draconic. Yes, it can brick you, but then just don't play the Oath of Loyalty that turn. Arsenal it. It's fine to do that, and then when you get a really good turn, play it. I think this card's good in Fi too, but I think it changes the way you want to build Fi. I think it's really good. You'll see this card a lot. Another card you will probably see a lot is Loyalty Beyond the Grave. This card is gas. It is a 0-cost D-React. It only blocks 3. It is Draconic. If it's in your graveyard at the start of your turn, you can banish 2 Loyalty Beyond the Graves, so itself and another one, to draw a card. Yes, you can only use it once. Yes, the 3rd copy will not do anything. However, it's a free card draw for being defensive. I don't think you'll play this one in Syndra. However, this card is really good in Fang, and might also be good in Fi. We'll have to see on that one. I think you play it in Fang. I don't think you play it anywhere else. We'll have to see. I think this card's really, really good too, though. Moving on to the rares, there's some pretty basic ones. Compounding Anger is a 3 for 5 that costs 1 less for each of your chain links. Hunt to the Ends of Wrath is a anti-Arachne card. It's a 0 for 2 with Go Again. If you attack Arachne, you mark him, and if it's attacking any marked hero, it gets +2. So it's a 0 for 4 against Arachne specifically, and sometimes marked heroes, but I don't think that's consistent enough for Hunt to the Ends of Wrath to where it'll see a lot of play. It's very good and limited, but I don't think it'll see any constructive play. March of Loyalty is a 0 for 4 that if you've made a fealty token, it gets Go Again. This card is really good. There's a lot of effects that make fealty tokens that we will talk about. So you really want March of Loyalty in your deck because you're going to easily make them and then get the Go Again, especially in Fang, who's in the flavored text as well, which is really cool. You're going to easily make fealty tokens more than Syndra, so you can easily play the March of Loyalty in that deck. Bubble to the Surface is a 2-cost Draconic instant. Notably, I will say this now about instants, I'll probably mention it later when we talk about some of the other instants. If you play an instant on the same chain link as the daggers for Fang, they get the pump because you're playing a Draconic card that chain link, which is good to note because you can use instants instead of the reactions. Bubble to the Surface is a 2-cost that costs 1 less for each of your Draconic chain links and has you reveal the top card of your deck until you've revealed a red card, banish it, and you may play it this turn. Then you shuffle your deck. This card's pretty good. I like it. However, the problem with it is it's just making your deck 57 cards. That's what the card does. Sometimes you brick and your deck's 57 cards. I think that's okay. It's a little inconsistent. I guess if you were playing a Fang deck with a little more blues in it, it's drawing you a card you want because it's drawing you a red card. Obviously, it sucks if you draw Oath of Loyalty off of it because you then just can't play it. But I think it's still a good card you probably will consider in Fang. Maybe not in Syndra though because all of her cards do the same thing, but I'd rather just have a card. Drop of Dragon Blood is another legendary. It's a base Draconic instant that costs 2, but costs 1 less for each of your Draconic chain links, and you just gain a resource and draw a card. It makes your deck 59 cards, and it pretty much pitches itself once. It's good. I think you'll play it. It's not the best card, but it's playable. I think you'll definitely see it in every deck, though. I might be underestimating it, but it just seems like gain a resource. Like, gain a resource draw card is strong. But you get it once, and it's an instant, so it doesn't block. I think it's good, but we'll have to see how it actually impacts. Rake Over the Coals is a 0-cost Draconic instant that gives all your Draconic attacks +1 this turn. Pretty good in Fang and Syndra, especially in Fang if you're attacking a lot. I don't think it's the best thing you could play, but if you're swinging with a lot of cards, it definitely is pretty good and probably will see play. So maybe Rake Over the Coals is better than I'm giving it as well. Blaze Headlong is a reprint. Good reprint. This card's very good. For the Dracai, for the Emperor, and for the Realm are all cards we've seen before. They are a cycle of 0 for 4, 1 for 5, and 2 for 6 that make a fealty token if they're attacking a marked hero. For the Dracai is the best one, but for the Emperor and for the Realm have their other uses. Hunt the Hunter is a 1 for 5 that if you attack and you've played another red card, you mark the hero you attack, which is pretty good. I don't know if it'll see play, but it seems like a good limited card. Smokeout is another 0-cost defense reaction where if it defends a red card, you mark the attacking hero. Pretty good and limited. Again, probably won't see any constructed play. Blessing of Vinserakai is a 0-cost aura. It blocks 2. And at the start of your turn, you destroy it, and the next Draconic attack, or the next attack you do is Draconic and gets +3. So a start for a turn if you don't have a Draconic attack, but you have to end your turn playing this aura. So probably not the best. Pledge Fealty is a card that a lot of people are not going to include in Fang, and I think they should because this card is gas. It is a 0-cost Draconic instant that just makes a fealty token, but when you consider that it can A, turn on Fang's ability because it's making fealty tokens, B, convert something else to be Draconic so you can still play Oath of Loyalty, C, be played on an opponent's turn to make a fealty token, especially on turn 1, and D, pump your daggers because it's instant being played during that dagger's chain link. I think this card's really good. It's not as good as the actual reactions that make the fealty, but I think this card's definitely good. Proclamation of Vengeance is very similar. It marks the opposing hero, so you do need to hit them, but a lot of your effects care about them being marked, and you want fealty tokens as fast as possible, so I think you could definitely see Proclamation of Vengeance inside of Fang, even against heroes that aren't Arachne, and against heroes that are Arachne, obviously you get a really big advantage. And then the final Draconic card, the last card we're going over in this video, is Tooth of the Dragon, which is a +3 to your next Draconic attack this turn. This card is just, I was going to say eclectic. It's not eclectic. It's the other 0 for 3 on your next attack. I really can't remember the names of these lightning cards, and I play them every dang week in Acilio. But it's just that type of effect. +3 to your next attack. It's just a pre-pump that's at instant speed, but it can be played on your daggers to pump them up on that one. This card is actually very similar to the Diced, the normal warrior card, because it gives the first one +1 from its own pump of the dagger itself, and then it gives your next attack +3. So I think they're very similar in that sense. I think you definitely play this card in Fang, probably not in Syndra. A lot of these base Draconic cards you won't see in Syndra. Neither of the Mark instants, probably not Tooth. Maybe you see Blood, Drop of Dragon's Blood, and you definitely see Oath of Loyalty, but none of these other ones are going to see much play in Syndra. I think it's mainly these are going to see play in Fang, because he himself doesn't have any attacks. Fang is a warrior. Draconic warrior has no attacks. They're also all reactions. So the only attacks you realistically get are generics and default Draconics, and their only actual, I guess Hunt to the Ends of Wrath is a default Draconic starter, but the only good one is Oath of Loyalty. So we'll have to see how that one goes for anything that really needs. I guess March of Loyalty also works as a starter if you open with like Pledge of Loyalty on your turn, Pledge Fealty on your turn. But overall, Draconic seems strong in the set. I really like the M's. I like a lot of these cards for Fang. Specifically, the classed cards I do really like. I like all the Fang ones. I like a lot of the Ninja ones. So we'll have to see how those turn out once, we actually get some CC events. Again, next video is going to be Assassin, which is all of the Arachne cards. It's going to be all the dual class cards, including that one hybrid legendary I talked about. It's going to be all of the generic cards, which also there's a lot of warrior cards down here that are also going to be really good in Fang. Like Savor Bloodshed is really good. Cut from the Same Cloth is really good. All those cards are going to see play in Fang. We also have the generic stuff to talk about. Some of these cards, again, absolutely good. Rotten Remains seems really strong. Shelter from the Storm seems like it's going to be the expensive generic of the set. But we'll go over all of those cards and also the expansion slot cards. We'll go over everything next week, next Thursday. So come back next week, which, if this Thursday is the 23rd, the day before the set comes out, come back to see how the Assassin cards stack up to the Ninja and Warrior cards and Draconic cards. So with all that, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you all maybe learned something. I don't think a lot of people are going to stick around for this length video because it's like an hour. But, oh well. If you are here at this point, I thank you for watching the video. And I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.